Greetings, class. I'm here to go over the essay, Can We Save Ourselves? And it's about deciphering fake news. And hopefully, this essay has some ideas that might help you for your essay. And I think it's just important to talk about these topics in our time. One of the very first things this essay says is just we have to be careful of search engine ranking. We have to be very careful of it. So, for example, if you're on Google and Yahoo or Bing or whatever you're on, and you click on a story, typically we just go to the first story that we see. It's ranked, it's supposed to go up there, but that doesn't mean it's an accurate story. That doesn't mean it's the best story. Sometimes you have to scroll through all of those stories to see which one is the best article. And I think sometimes we get stuck on that. We click on it, we do a search engine, we do a search in YouTube, and we just click on the very first video we see, and we think this is the best one, this is the most certified, it has the most views and everything like that, but it doesn't mean it's the best one, and sometimes we have to wade through to really find good research. And I think that's important. Another thing they say is we have to be careful who we friend on the internet. And I think that's important today, especially in the era of fake news, especially on Facebook. I know that Russians and other countries are already trying to rig this election that we have this year. And so I think that's important. And I think one of the best things to do is just look at their background, who they are, look at their pictures. Do they have a picture? Things like that, because they may not be a real person. And there's something called bots. This essay only talks about it a little bit, in a little bit of detail, but a bot does this. What it does is, I'm not a computer engineer, so I'm not an expert in this, but essentially it's a device that allows a story to accelerate. So it looks like it's getting views, but it's really not. It's just there accelerating, and then you look at it and it starts to go to the top of the page. It has so many views and you click on it, but it doesn't mean that all of those views are legit. It just appears to be an important story, but it may be garbage, and that's how bots are used to infiltrate into our media. And also something important, I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes you'll see something on Instagram, or you'll see a post on Facebook, and it has a lot of likes, and you're like, how did this person get that many likes? Or how did this video get this many views? And I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually buy views on YouTube. You go there, you buy it, and there's a video I could post if you really want me to. Email me and I can send it to you, but they go to click farms, and there's people in other countries who are paid basically a couple cents per click, and they just keep clicking on that article over and over again to get that many views or that many likes. So sometimes you'll be on YouTube and you'll see something gets 2 million likes, and you're like, how is this possible? How is this even a good video? And you start looking into it, and that could be the way. So just because something's generating interest, or just because it has a lot of views, just because it's at the top of the page, doesn't mean it's credible, doesn't mean that it's a good story. Another thing they mention, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Read your article before you share it. If you're on social media or something like that, really decipher it. Ask yourself, is this a true story? Is this credible? Who is the author? What is their background? Where is this getting published? Do they have research, which is something else our article talks about? Do they have research to support their claims? Is it valid research? Are there parts that you question? I think it goes back to conversations we've had in class. What do you not like about this article? Are there things that you don't like, things that you don't trust? And question those things before you decide to use it as research or decide to share it with other people. One thing you might like about this article is it does provide some sources on how to fact check. I know that that's become a very important part of our culture, like PolitiFact. And that might be a good starting place for you in some of your articles. So if you're looking for a fake news article, you might start there and see how they're breaking down an article. And another thing they say, and it's something else we've talked about in class, it's more about finding research. But one of the best places to find research is, as we've mentioned in the past, is our library. And it's not just me who really likes it when you use sources from our library. It's also other professors. If you transfer to San Diego State or UCSD, they're going to require you to use credible sources. So it's really important to get more familiar with that now. And I think some of the things that often stand out to me, what is a fake news article? When it comes down to that website, is it credible? Another thing is, are the headlines sensationalized? Are they emotionally driven? Are they trying to drive anger or fear? If I see that, then I start to question it. Or I might start to look at the language in the source and see if it's very emotional. And I want that might be a clear indication that this might be fake news. I think another good trigger would be, does it have a lot of clickbait? If there's a lot of clickbaits, and they're trying to generate revenue, so they're their website that's struggling to get revenue or money. So they're trying extra hard, which could also damage its credibility. You can look up the author. See if the author is credible. I think another thing to do is go to the about page and look at what it's saying. And remember, if it's satire meant to be humor, that wouldn't necessarily quantify it as fake news. If they come out and say, you know what, we're just trying to make people laugh, please don't take this seriously, then that's an indication that it's not fake news. It's more of a jokester page or a prank page. So that might, but if they're very clear and they have a lot of people who aren't real and a lot of funny names, and they're saying that we are the right wing or the left wing, and if it's very extreme, you might question that part of the article. The other way to tell if something's fake news, you could look at the other articles, or if they're weird, or if they're off-putting, if they're like Weekly World News. There's so many stories. How to tell if your neighbors are aliens and things like that. If you start seeing other articles like that, then you can really question, is this a credible source? So those are a couple tips. And also I created a module that provides some websites for you that go over fake news. And also in a different module, I also went over in the same module, I went over paragraph by paragraph of how I would decipher fake news articles. I hope these things help. Thank you for listening.